Hi, welcome back to another Hour with Crowder with me, your host Crowder. Like, share, subscribe, and comment. And if you're already a subscriber, go ahead, ding the bell so that you can get all of my latest podcasts every Tuesday. Today we have a very special guest. I haven't did guest in a very long time, so I thought that I'd bring someone on to have a conversation about what's going on in the Black community, a couple of his ideologies from his own podcast, The Too Strong Exposed. Marlon Browne, the Hammer. Hey, how
Thank
you
you.
doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Real good. Thank you.
So, where are you from originally?
Originally, I was born in Trinidad and went to school in Arkansas from about 96 to 2000, 2001.
Are you still
College.
in Arkansas?
No, no, I'm in Washington State now.
That's a
Yeah.
good state to be in. Chocolate.
No, no, it's a horrible state. It's
Why?
it's the armpit of America and the unwashed, undeodorized armpit of America.
Well, why haven't you left?
Because I'm intending to change it.
Oh, well, that's good. That's
Yeah,
good.
I'm going to
I
be
like
running for mayor and then hopefully for governor. So
Republican or Democrat.
undecided at this point, probably leaning more towards Republican, but until they can clean up their platform, probably undecided.
By cleaning up the platform, what do you mean by that?
The people, the ones that are more forefront, they're too wishy washy for me. They've been um, uncertain about actually standing up for the people that they say they represent. I think it's the case for both sides, Democrat and Republican. So
Yeah, I'm glad that you said that because that's why I personally don't lean too far into either side. Most people that I've come up against have been right in the middle. The only thing that takes you to one side or the other is usually a moral standpoint.
that's where
Like
mine is. Yeah,
people say people can't figure out if I'm a Democrat or a Republican or a conservative or a liberal. If I talk to conservatives, they say, "Oh, you're a liberal." If I talk to liberals, they say, "Oh, you're conservative." And usually it's because on one end, I don't believe in abortion, but do I think that the government should come in and tell people that they can't abort babies? No. And then on one side, I'm like, yes, I'm for free enterprise. And that's usually a conservative thought. And they're like, oh, no, everybody should just spread the money throughout. But I'm like, no, because if I got rich, I shouldn't have to spread my money throughout, the whole continent just because one person decided to make a bunch of bad decisions in their life.
gotcha. Hmm.
So let's just go ahead. And that was very interesting that, you're a person that's like, no, I'm staying here because I'm trying to change it. Usually people flee and they say, oh, this state is too bad. I'm just gonna leave.
I have seen the effects of what they're trying to do implemented in my own country, and fleeing is not going to stop it from getting to where I flee to. If I leave it in one place, it's a cancer. It'll spread, and eventually, by the time it's spread to me, it'll be so metastasized that you're hosed. You can't do anything about it at that point. So why leave the spot where you know you can stop it a little bit and go to another spot where you feel free for like 5, 10 years, and in 5, 10 years it still gets to you anyway, and by then it's too late. So I'm not about to do that just yet. So
Yeah, y'all talk about a lot of that stuff on your show about the y'all expose a lot of people. So far, I've seen that y'all exposed a lot of things dealing with Christianity and church.
hmm
Exposed a lot of pedophilia that's going on in media in Hollywood, and a lot of women that are off in media, such as Oprah and
whoopee,
Roy
right?
Reed and people like that. I do want to go towards one of the podcasts that you had, and it was about religion,
hmm
particularly on the Satan After School program.
Yep.
Now, with that, do you think that different religions and practices should be a place that like they should have a place to express themselves as well?
I have no qualms against them expressing themselves. I just wish they'd be upfront about it. That's my only thing. Um, what they put it out as is a non-indoctrinating program when in the actual mantra that's what they're about. So I don't, if you're going to be one thing, say it, and that way you have parents are knowingly upfront aware of what your plan is. Christians are not lying to people when they say we want people saved. That's our goal. It's been known, it will be known. We're not going to lie about it. We're not going to say, well, no, we're not trying to change your mind about the way you live. No, we want to change the way you think about things. We do. because we introduce you to the mindset that we believe is the right way to live. And we're not going to back down from that. I just wish that Satanists would actually be upfront about what they want to do. And don't just tell me that, oh, we don't, it's not, but we can look at your mantra and see exactly that you're trying to get people to think the way you think. By the way I found that they did is by saying they don't want people thinking the way Christians think, which in by itself is indoctrination, just without saying it. I just wish they'd be upfront.
Would you say the same thing about Christianity though? Because that's pretty much indoctrination. If
I
you
didn't
think
say we didn't. I didn't say we didn't. That's what I said. We are upfront about what we want from people. We are trying to present something to you that we want you to accept. We're not going to force it on you, but we are definitely trying to convince you to join the faith because of what we know the aftermath is. To say we're not would be a lie. I'm not going to tell people I'm not trying to convert people. Of course, I'm trying to convert people. That's my job as a Christian. It is my entire calling as a Christian. If I ignore that, then I'm not a Christian. I'm a selfish human being. But if the Satanists are going to lie to me and say, oh, that's not our goal, but in your mantra, that is your goal by telling people, don't listen to that person, listen to us, then you're trying to be slick about your indoctrination. But I can't expect anything different from Satanists. That's, their dad's like that. So what can I say?
Well, I've looked up, I went to their website, the same website that you guys went to, and I do agree that it kind of is a little bit trolling. It kind of seems a little Nas X-ish, just kind of rile Christians up to the point where they're just like, oh, look at this, look at them doing this right there. I don't think that that's actually what that website is, what a Satanist is, because I've met Satanists and I've met atheists, and really low key, Satanist kind of seems like self-worship, which in Christianity, that is a sin to self-worship yourself.
Right.
So, but it's their practice, and neither practice is, I feel like we can prove that is 100% true, because both practices were wrote out by man. I mean, we know that the Bible was wrote by man. I
No,
mean,
we don't know that, but okay. I mean, we don't know that.
It literally has the people that wrote those books naming it. John.
So
Matthew,
then do
Paul.
you see science the same way?
Yes, I do. It's
okay,
an
so science written out by men, right? But
yeah.
you trust science?
No.
At all? You don't trust science at all?
I trust a little bit of it, just like I trust the Bible a little bit. I love the 10 Commandments. I love Job. I love the stories of Jesus, his parables and everything. But when you read it front to back, there's a lot of janky stuff in there as well. Like God literally let these men rape this girl in the Bible, and then that one story about that little kid. I don't know because I've read the whole Bible, so I don't know the verse and the chapter and everything. But the second one that was kind of janky was that story about, what is it? That kid making fun of that bald-headed man, and then he just sent a bear down to mold the little kid, and I'm just like, what? Yeah, hold up. Let's see. Then 2 bears came out of the woods and mauled 42 of the boys. But this came from 2 Kings. 2
Second Kings,
yeah, 2 Kings, verse 23 through 24, and the prophet
what chapter
about is Elijah.
What chapter?
It's a 2 Kings, a 2 Kings, so it's 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 23 through 24. These kids were talking about the prophet Elijah, how bald-headed he was, and then God just kind of sends down a bear to maul those kids, and I'm just like, what? Why did he do that? And then of course there's always the question that a lot of Christians even ask, if God created everything, why didn't he just kill Satan and then there would be no problems in the world? That whole thing. So there's a lot of stuff in the Bible that I'm like,
so I can't just gloss over the things you said without getting the whole thing. Okay. I want to be clear about something.
Okay.
With Elijah, he was given power over certain things with his words, animals, serpents, stuff like that. The boys jeering and mocking him, I want you to go back to the prior verses before you make an assessment of what you get handed by that verse in 23:24. I'll read for you what happened prior to.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
So he was talking, he had just come from Jericho and was heading over to Bethel. When you hear the term mocking and you see the term boys, we're not talking about kids. We're not talking about teenagers, and we're not talking about prepubescent or adolescent. We're talking about young boys from the ages around 17 to 20 something. So they're not children. I want to make sure you're clear about that first. So before trying to paint the picture that these are children that he called the bears down on, they're not.
How do you know that when there's no context of
because if you have no, there is context. There is context because if you read, like I said, you just reading the Bible. If you're just going to read the Bible without doing a cross reference of any kind, then you're not reading the Bible.
I have a cross reference book.
Perfect. Look it up.
Actually, right here is the application Bible that I.
Then look up that. Did you look up that verse with that book?
From there, Elijah went to Bethlehem. As he was walking along the road, some youth come out of the town and jeered at him. Go on up, you bald head. They said, go on up, you bald head. He turned around, looked at them, and called down a curse on them in the name of the Lord. 2 bears came out of the woods and mauled 42 of the youth. So in this passage, it doesn't give any reference.
Again, what is youth in the Bible?
Here's youth. It doesn't say anything about it. It says young kids. It said that's what it said. These men.
What are youth?
God paid them with life. That's what it says. It doesn't say anything about age. It says youth.
What is youth in the?
What
right, you know what? We're not going to be able to listen. We're not going to have a conversation about the Bible. Well, you know why we're not going to be able to have a conversation about the Bible?
That's why I didn't want to go into the Bible.
We're not going to have a conversation about the Bible.
I was just giving you some content that I thought in the Bible was janky. I didn't want it to go.
Well, it's janky without understanding. I get that. If you don't understand what it's saying, it's janky. But if you understand it, it's not janky.
So why is it in the Bible that some of the passages say men? And then some of it just says youth. It's different.
Because there's a massive difference between men and youth.
Exactly. In this
passage, but it also says children. It says children when it means children, though. When it meant children, it says children.
Hey, but
in the Bible, when it mentions children, it literally says children. Does it not?
So even with this saying, even if we just don't play the semantics game,
it's not semantics. It's literally like saying an adolescent to a toddler and an adult. That's a matter.
Okay. Just for the sake of the argument or whatever, say that they're 17 to 20. He still used his powers to mold somebody because they said
the bears did. Yes,
bald-headed. That's pretty janky to me.
That's not janky.
That's like shooting someone because they said something that you didn't like.
But he didn't shoot anybody.
Yeah, he just sent down bears to maul them.
Right.
You're like, right, like, yeah, that's okay. No,
yeah, it is,
okay, bro. Why is it okay?
What do you mean? Why? Because he's a man of God.
Why is it okay?
He's protected.
To use your powers to mold someone down because you don't like what they said.
So how many youth surrounded him?
42.
Oh. And you'd feel completely safe. You would feel completely safe with 42 people around you jeering at you?
They didn't do anything to him. They called them bald-headed. they called them bald-headed.
You would feel, that's not my question. You would feel safe with 42 people around you jeering at you.
If they didn't do anything to me, no. I've been to protests before.
I didn't say this wasn't a protest, but this wasn't a protest though. You're equating it to something in your mind that's safe.
Yeah, you're saying that do I feel comfortable with 42 people calling me names? I've been around more than 42 people calling me names, and I didn't pull out my gun and try to shoot them or call on the name of Jesus to take a bear.
You wouldn't do that because you don't believe in Jesus that much. That's why you wouldn't do it.
Oh, no, I wouldn't say that. But but to just gear towards something else because I don't want to stay here because you only have a little bit of time with me.
I got tons of time. Yeah, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but the question was, and you answered it a little bit, but I feel like people, because it's an after school program, it's not a elective or it's not a course in school. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that it's misleading. I mean, they're literally giving parents the option to send their kids there or not. It's an after
Mm-hmm.
school program. It's not a
Mm-hmm.
course. So I don't see the big problem of it.
Okay, let me put it to you this way.
The Satan school program. I
If
just wouldn't send my kids there.
if
If I'm a Christian, which I am, I
mm-hmm.
would just say, hey, you're not allowed to go to that program after school. I don't want to see you in that program. And
Mm-hmm.
if I hear that you've been to that program, you're going to be in trouble. But to just take it all the way down because it's not a part of your religion and you don't believe that other kids should be able to be in that program because it's talking about Satan, which Satanism isn't about worshiping Satan. It's really just
Oh,
self-worship,
okay.
which he
That's
was saying in the Bible, though.
then that's how is that not worshiping Satan?
It's not. I
It
mean,
is. It is though.
I mean, hey, you can
Thou
say,
shalt have no gods before me. Period. If you
hey,
put Satan or yourself before God, you are worshiping Satan. Plain
yeah,
out simple. Bad manners.
yeah, but a lot of people don't believe. Everybody
They don't
doesn't
have to
believe.
believe what's true for the truth to be true.
Yeah, but that's your truth. That's
No,
not.
it's God's truth. It's not my truth. I don't
It,
have a truth. You
yeah,
don't have a truth. It's
yeah, you
God
do.
truth or a lie.
It's
That's
a,
all it is.
it's a belief. It's a
No,
belief.
they're either God truth or a lie. If you don't want to believe that, that's on you. The
So,
only way
so
we
what
gonna square this up is when we both die and we encounter God and we be like, you know what, you were right, man. Sorry.
yeah, that's the only way. And
Good.
neither one of us has died yet. So neither one of us knows if
I
it's true or
know.
not.
I know. Hence why I speak the way I speak. If
Yeah,
people
for
don't
sure.
believe me, that's on them. I don't
Yeah,
have to have them believe me.
yeah, for sure. So would you have the same smoke if it was a after school Muslim program?
Yeah, the
For
same
sure.
exact smoke. Exact smoke.
Because Christianity is the right
Yes.
religion.
Yes.
How do you know that?
Because I know.
How?
And God said so.
Yeah, but that's just your belief.
No,
There's
that's
a
what God
whole
said.
bunch of different gods.
That's
The
what God
the
said. There is
people
no
the
different gods.
people
There's
in
only one
Israel
God.
the people in Israel they
They can
worship
believe what they
Allah.
want. There's only one God.
Yeah, but that's you just saying that
No,
your
that's not
God
what
of
I'm
your
saying.
Bible is the
Nope.
true God.
Nope. There is one
So
God.
so if you go over to Israel and you tell all those people that Christianity is the right religion, they're all gonna look at you crazy because they
That's
worship
okay.
Allah.
That's okay. They can look at me crazy. That it doesn't change the truth. Do
Yeah,
you think that no, you think because
it's
people might think I'm
true.
crazy or look at me weird, I should change what I believe or not be as loud?
No, the point I'm trying to get across is that neither one of us or anybody of that matter knows what is true and what's not because we all have to
Untrue.
die to see what is real and what is
Do
not.
you
To
believe
me,
God talks to you?
I believe that yeah, God talked to me, but my God, I don't know what other God. Everybody has a different God. Those people they
Has
worship Allah. Another group
Let
of
me put it
people
to you this
worship
way.
Buddha. Another group of people worship another God. We don't know which God is the
Has
right
the
God.
God of the universe spoken to you?
Who knows? I don't know.
You would know. You
When I
would know
sit
if he
down,
spoke to you. That's the point.
when I
You
sit
would
down
know.
and pray, nobody has ever heard God come down and say, this and this and this and that to them. If you did, then
Oh, we're
no.
crazy, right?
No, you wouldn't be crazy. I definitely believe that
Over
God
line. Which
speaks
one?
to people. No, I definitely believe that God speaks to people because it's your own relationship with God. I'm not going to sit up
Who's
there.
God then if it's a relationship with
I'm not
God?
going to. I don't know whatever religion
Oh.
you practice, whatever you practice
So
Christianity.
you do believe there's multiple gods out there?
Because it's just their truth.
No, Mom.
People in
Okay, but you're a Christian, right?
Yeah, but so
Do
that's
you
my
believe
God.
there are multiple gods out there?
Yeah, it has to be because when I talk to
Oh,
someone from Israel, then they're going to say Allah is God. When I talk to someone that's practiced spirituality, then they have a bunch of deities that they
well,
worship.
good luck with that walk being a full Christian walk, believing that there are multiple gods when he directly tells you the God that you're supposed to serve tells
Uh,
you you shall have no gods before me and there is only one.
I don't have any gods before me, but I do talk to other people that worship other named gods
You
like
purposely
Allah
listen to
and
lies?
Buddha and all of these other. No, I respect them. I
No,
don't
it's a
try
lie. I don't
to.
respect a
I
lie.
don't for sure. I mean, hey, we're not here to change each other's mind.
I know I definitely can't change yours. I know that for a fact. I can tell you that. I know that for a fact.
Hey man, and you're not going to change those people off in those other countries either that's worshiping other
That's not going to
gods and
stop him from telling
everything.
them, though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not going to stop you from telling them. Just like you can't stop them from telling me. People just believe what they believe, and it's their truth
And I
based
don't
on
have to
their
respect it
God.
either.
Yeah, you don't have to respect them. I
Right.
choose to because I know that when you die, that's the only way you're going to find out if your religion was right or wrong. We don't
I,
know right now because we're
I
all
find
still
out
here in the
now. I know
physical.
now.
No, maybe, but I think that we already went over that, and I hear a lot of talk with schools and everything, and I watched that whole episode because there was a lot of things that I was like, and we just went over them, so I
Mm-hmm.
won't dive back into those. But what do you think the solution to that would be? Because I heard that they actually do have a Christian program as well, and that's why they implemented the Satan after school program because they actually have a Christian after school program. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
one sided. It's not that they don't have a Christian program as well.
Mm-hmm.
They have both. So what would be the middle ground to that?
There is no middle ground.
Other than these people shouldn't be here because Christianity is right.
That's it. There's no middle ground. I don't have a middle ground, Satan.
I think that, well, me personally, I think I'm a big advocate for homeschool. Homeschooling, I feel like, is the middle ground because if you're a person like yourself that is a diehard Christian, you have your faith, you believe it strong heartedly, which is excellent. That's the way to go if you're in a religion or a faith and your belief system is strong like that, to take your kids out of that system, homeschool them. That would be the middle ground, I feel, is to homeschool your kids. If you feel like that, do you think people should homeschool their kids, those Christians that are there, since Christians shouldn't have
So
a
so
middle ground?
why should it, so why is it only that the Christians should homeschool? Why can't the Satanists homeschool theirs?
I think that it should be on both sides. If Satanists are
So then
offended
then
by
that
the
then
truth,
solution would
and
be to keep both of them out of schools, right?
yeah, actually that's the thing, but it's not in school, it's an after school program.
Keep it out
So
the or keep it out the whole arena completely. It shouldn't have anything to do with the school campus at all.
yeah, I trust that too, but because we don't control the school system,
Which
that's
is why I
one.
believe in charter schools.
Yo, speak on that. You said that in that episode about charter school. Speak on that. What exactly
My
is
daughter goes to one, and
good for you?
it is a um, family and teacher based, not government. The government doesn't have a say unless it has to do with something to do with a law or some kind of violation of state law within the school itself. But the school is built on what the parents want taught. They hire teachers accordingly. In this school, she's taught Latin, she's taught French, she's taught root things that you would never get in a regular school. Some might call it a private, but it's not fully private. It's majority of it is what you call a charter school. They do teach the Bible, and you have the option of bringing your kid there or not. If you come there and you said, well, you don't want your kid teaching the Bible, it's an automatic, then you're not going to let your kid come in. We're just not letting them in because if you're going to try and tell us how we're going to run what the majority of the parents want, it's not going to happen. Take your kid somewhere else, and we're not going to feel bad about it. Um, I think that should be more of the MO how school should go. That way, if you're a parent, you don't have to feel weird about what your kid is learning. You already know straight off the top that they're going to be in conformity with what you believe. Um, and there are plenty enough teachers that the government could let go of education because the government shouldn't have their hand in education to begin with because they're all ridiculously stupid and they don't know how to even run the economy, much less a school. Um, I think the government should be left out of education. I think the government should be left out of many things. But in this particular case, with a charter school, you give the power to the parents and the teachers and get the teachers union out of it altogether. I
I
think the
think,
teacher union is the worst thing ever besides other trade unions.
and it's really good that you said that because that's one of the things that I for sure advocate, especially throughout the Black community, because a lot of the things that we teach that they teach our kids doesn't actually like help them in the real world. I think things like horticulture should be taught. I think things like financial literacy should be taught. You go to public school, and here in the States you don't learn economics, which is like the basics of like financial literacy until the second semester of your 12th grade year. While by that time, you already done figured out if you're going to graduate or not. So by the second semester, you're not worried about any classes anymore because you possibly already got your cap and gown. Me personally, if I don't have kids, but if I did, I would homeschool them up until probably high school, and then I would let them go throughout high school because the beginning, the elementary, and the primary and the secondary part of their life is the most important because you you indoctrinate them at that point. They're like sponges, they soak up everything. So by the time they get to high school, then they still need that social construct in their life so they're not all awkwardly weird. But by high school, I would just let them go to maybe a public school, or since you're saying you're praising charter school so much, I probably would pick a charter school, not so much because of the religion part, because I think kids are going to do what they want. I mean, I grew up Baptist, and I devil in a lot of things. My core is still Christianity because of things like the 10 Commandments, but then I look into spirituality, which they deal with a lot of potions and mixes, and that's stuff that our grandmother was doing since the beginning of times. Why? Because we didn't have health care. So they would, hey, eat an orange, go in there and cook up some chicken broth for us. That's potions, that's elixir. So and then I like the Nation of Islam. They talk about do for self. That's something that the Black community definitely need to get into, doing for self. Of course, reparations is owed to us, but in the meantime, I think that we should be doing for self, getting in the Black community and trying to figure out things that we need for our community, like the church is the biggest thing. That's one of the reasons that I'm not particularly like gun ho on the church, because they take money, and I feel like if they just use that 10% that everybody gives for about 3 years, we could fix our roads, we could better our schools, we could start doing a lot of stuff on our own without waiting for the government. Like you said, not getting the government out of the school, out of the churches, out of our lives, because the government only goes where the money goes. So if their base is like the LGBT community, pretty much like Barack Obama. He the first term he was against gay marriage. He didn't want it at all. Second term, oh, now he's for gay marriage. Why? Because the LGBT community and someone prominent in the LGBT community backed his campaign up, gave him a lot of money for his campaign. Now he's for gay marriage and stuff like that. So government only goes where the money goes. But if we control the money as the Black community, then we don't have to worry about government. So
you don't think you have to worry about the government if you're making your own money in the Black community?
No, I do think that we have to worry about it, but they're not just in every single facet of our lives, because we fund most of the stuff. If
no, the Black but they'll still be in your pockets.
Yeah, they'll still be in your
because
pocket.
where the majority of the Black community is the majority of Democrats. Just be honest with it. Just be honest with it. If you look at it right now throughout America, the majority, I don't say all, not all, not all.
Yeah.
The majority of Black communities are based in Democrat-run cities. And they all look like absolute shit.
Yeah,
They're run like that. They stink. They smell. They're dilapidated. The school system is falling apart. Yet, all the leaders that are in charge are living rich and not even in the place that they back. So, I think if you want to start with anywhere, you start. I mean, I can't really say much because they kicked me out of the Black community. So I mean, I'm just talking from the outside at this point. At least from their point of view, the leaders anyway, the ones that say they're leaders, they ostracize me. So it doesn't matter because I'm still Black, and you can't really take a card from somebody that didn't give it to you. So for me, when I look at it, I think we are our worst enemy. It's not necessarily government. We are our worst enemy. One, we keep putting the same people to so-called lead us to destroy us. We see it happening and we don't care. We just let it happen because we have to vote with the D next to the name. I think if we stop doing that, first, we'll be fine. That's our first step. Secondly, start focusing on the family and become rats. I think we all need to become rats.
Rats? What do you mean by rats?
I think every stinking Black community, everyone that wants to live righteously and live right and not do the illegal stuff, should become rats and rat every last one of our family members, friends, cousins, all of them, any affiliation that does anything illicit, rat them out.
Oh, rat them out.
Completely rat them out and get them all of them rounded up.
Are
Because
you
here's the problem. Here's the problem. Here's the problem. I've seen enough in my time here in America. I've seen enough to last me a lifetime of black bodies on the street caused by black people. And I'm tired of it. I'm sick and tired because when they do get it, they get arrested or they don't even get found because nobody wants to tell them who did it. And if they do time for that, it's like a very short period of time. Then they come back out, they do it again. Then they go back in and they come back out and they do it again. I don't see how we can blame the police. I don't say we can blame white people. I don't say we can blame the system when people like that are participating in the so-called system and killing us. I don't see how that makes any sense. And we don't even tell nobody. You hear it all the time. Who started this? Stitches get stitches. That was us. That was black people.
It was Italians, but
you know, no. Who made that really the thing to do? Us. Be frank about it. Because trust me, it was not Italians that did it back home. In my country, that was a statement, and it wasn't Italians that gave that to us.
Okay, so the whole thing with no snitching, that derived from organizations like the Crips and the Bloods, which originally, I'm not talking about the Crips and the Bloods now because they've definitely been infiltrated by the CIA.
Okay. What do you mean infiltrated?
Infiltrated by the CIA because those organizations like the
Are
Crips,
black people that weak? Are we that weak?
Okay, let me just finish my point. Okay, organizations like the Crips and the Bloods started off because the police were not policing our neighborhoods. So we basically started our own police or neighborhood watch, I would say. It was more like a neighborhood watch, not like police. So we started policing our own neighborhoods through these organizations, Crips and Bloods. I forget the abbreviation of what it stands for before it was this whole red and blue thing or whatever. They got infiltrated by the CIA to start doing illegal activity, which basically derived from how Italians were doing. Italians, they were on the lowest totem pole of white supremacy. They themselves wasn't, classified as white until a little while after the whole censor thing. So that's where the whole Crips and Bloods thing started. And the whole thing about no snitching was because sometimes they would have to gear up some of the police officers that were off in our neighborhoods killing us unjustly. And then because they were doing that, then they was telling the neighbors and the people in the neighborhood, don't snitch on the people, on the police that were killing, not the people, because we was policing our own neighborhoods against police that would come off in our communities and do us wrong. And so those gangs would, fight, shoot, kill the police. And that's where the no snitching thing came in at. Once the CIA infiltrated, then that's when we turned into this weird direction of doing crime. And yes, that was pretty weak of us as Black people to take this organization that was used for good, and then one person say, hey, we should start robbing people off in this neighborhood. And then somebody else say, yeah. And then we do it. And then that's where now we geared into this whole no snitching, but now it's no snitching towards crime that we're doing in our community rather than no snitching of the police that we kill because they're doing us wrong. So that's where that whole thing derived from.
But you're still not answering a question of my original statement. Are we that weak?
I did answer that. I said, yeah, that was pretty weak of us to.
No, not was. Right now, we're bitches.
Yeah, I just said that.
Yes.
Because
what is stopping us? What is stopping us from making that move to get rid of them?
Because we don't know who it is. That's the whole point of infiltration. We don't know who it is that are in our communities infiltrating, because the people that infiltrate, there's not a white guy with blonde hair and blue eyes that's off in the crib. It's someone that looks like us.
Okay.
So
again,
hold up. So you just talked about the Democrats. You just talked about the Democrats and how they're Black and they look Black and they're in office.
I didn't say that, but okay.
You've done exposés on Joy Reid, which is Black. You've done exposés on many Black people. Those people are Black. Those people infiltrate our community and they spew out talking points of white supremacy. That's the same thing that happens in the Crips and the Bloods before that organization turned around. Was we were policing our own communities. Someone that looked like us infiltrated us. And yes, that is weak. That's weak.
Okay.
They literally turned coat on us. That's weak. I'm agreeing with you.
I get that, but you're not answering the question of
I
why
did. I
can't we?
just
No,
said
listen to the question. Why can we not get rid of them now?
because we do not know who they are.
You do
Like
indeed know. You do
we
indeed
we
know.
we know the ones that are on mainstream TV, like your Al Sharptons, your Joy Reid, these other people. We know them, but the regular Joe Schmo CIA agent that looks like us in these communities, we don't know.
Yes, you do.
How do
How
you
do
know?
you not know somebody handing you that kind of information? It's a simple question. If somebody comes to you and tells you the kind of stuff to promote this nonsense, you don't know who that is?
Yeah,
You tell me you can't track that back?
No, you really can't. How do you track that
Why?
back when the
Why?
when the organization is already so corrupt? Now it's just a part of the organization. Now,
That has nothing to do with the people that are not part of the organization, though.
what
It
you said
has
that it
nothing
has
to do with the people who are not part of the organization ratting them out. Okay, let's put it like this. If I know, but
I
my
need to,
family member, if I know my family member is part of a gang, I submit that should be an instant arrest. If that family member is even remotely part of a gang, instant arrest, right?
okay,
If they can use low-level people to get so-called high-level targets, they can definitely do this. In our own people can do this.
okay, so basically you're saying, okay, we need to rat out all of the
All.
gang members.
All.
Okay, so I'm kind of leaning on either side of the fence there because I'm all for Black empowerment, and I feel like the gangs, because I know what they was originally for. I feel like Louis Farrakhan said, it's not that gangs are bad; it's just their intentions are. So if we change the mindset of the gangs, that's our army in the Black community.
That's
Why?
like trying to tell me to change the mind of Muslims. It's not going to happen.
No, no, that's not like you trying to change the
Yeah,
mind.
because right now that gang has become a religion. It really has. You convert people into a gang.
No, but a lot of them don't start off like, oh yeah, I'm for this life. A lot of those guys that join those gangs,
Just like a religion.
a lot of those guys that join those gangs usually lack a father at home, which you guys speak about that, and I love that. They lack guidance. So what are
Mm-hmm.
they trying to do? They're trying to find their space in a family. It's not that they want to go out and
Yes.
be part of this crime activity. It's that they're looking for a father figure, they're looking for a brother figure. So if they're looking for that, then if these gangs or the top people in these gangs had good intentions and they was like, hey, you just go police this little section of the block instead of selling drugs, then that's what that little boy would do. Hey, I'm going to take you and you're going to learn about financial literacy and you're going to teach all the little homies about this. Then that's what that guy would do, because they're looking for guidance. It just happens that the guidance that they're getting from these people are wrong. So
Which is why you get rid of them. Not reform, get rid of. There is no reforming them. You cannot reform a gang. You have to replace,
have
get rid of.
you ever been in trouble?
Yes.
Would you say that you're the same person that you was 5 years ago that you are today?
Yeah.
So you're reformed. You're reformed. I've been to prison. I've been to prison, and I used to be a drug addict.
You said the system. You cannot reform a gang. You cannot reform a gang.
Because who are in the gang? People are in the gang.
You can't reform them. I'm telling you right now, you can't.
Why? Because you've been in a gang.
You cannot reform the gang. You can eradicate the gang and start something brand new. You're not going to reform a gang. The gang has no affiliation to what it started off as at all, and not even in the least.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's not the same, but I do think that you can start somewhere. I don't think that you eradicate everybody, because we just got through over there saying that the people, the little guys that come in there, I say 13, or I think it even starts off younger than that. 7. Let's just say 7 to 16. They're not necessarily going off into a game with the mindset that I want to kill and steal and rob and shoot.
How do you know?
They're going into the mindset that, because you just admitted that these people lack structure from home.
You said that. You said that.
You nodded your head in agreement.
But you said it. I didn't say that. You did.
Okay, I said it, and you nodded your head up and down. that means that you agree with me that they lack structure, they lack guidance. So if we start off young with the mindset, what is the mindset of this? Then you can change the whole thing, because those people that's at the top isn't gonna last forever. They're not
Yes,
gonna last forever.
they
And
cycle out.
I'm telling you right now, I've been to prison. I understand a lot of the things that I did was wrong back in the day, but guess what? I got reformed. I reformed myself, and along with the help of a lot of other people around me that love me. But a person can reform for sure.
Cannot reform
Yeah,
the gang.
yeah, but some people do. So there's a certain
How? Give me one example of a gang going the complete opposite direction. Give me
no, not
one.
no. You're looking at it as a whole.
Yes, that's
In,
the problem.
I'm saying individuals.
You can't deal with it individually.
Yeah, you can.
No,
You have
you
to.
can't, and I'll
That's
tell you
too
why.
hard. You yourself are not leaving Washington. You're
You
only one person
listen to.
because
I'm not in
you're
a gang
trying
though.
to
We're
because
talking
you're
about
trying
gangs.
to. No, I'm trying to give you an example so
Hmm.
that you can understand where I'm coming from. It does start with individuals, because yeah, as a whole, you cannot change a whole organization. You have to start from the ground up, meaning with
Right,
individuals. You
right.
yourself, you are in Washington. You are one person. You're trying to change it from the ground up as one individual. So it's going to take you as an individual to talk to other individuals to change the mindset of the whole of
What?
politics in Washington.
No, no, because I'm not changing the effects of the laws. I'm going to help implement the laws.
Okay,
There
so
is a listen, there is a massive difference.
okay,
There's a massive difference between the government and the gang. The gang has zero positive to
what
offer
are you
people, and
saying?
I
The
mean
government is
zero.
the biggest gang out here. The
Would you
government is
listen?
the
No, no,
biggest
no. The
gang.
people in there are the gangs,
Thank you. That's what
but
I'm
not the gang. I'm
saying.
not. You see, you're telling me I'm looking at things too broadly. You're not understanding it. You want to equate the gang life and gang affiliation things with the government. I am telling you that the government, by law, on the books, laws on the books, are not the same as the people overriding them. And I'm telling you that the gang, by nature, is bullshit. Regardless of who you put in there, the gang itself is nonsense. You have to get rid of that whole mindset altogether,
Then would
completely.
you then would you say the same thing about government?
I think you should implement the laws that are on the books properly. Like, say, for instance, if a cop shoots a man and he did it illegally, there's no reason for him to do it. That cop should be either in jail or killed. That law is on the books, but there are people who are in power that will usurp that authority and not send him to jail. It's not the books, it's not the law itself, it's the people running the government itself. Books wise, law wise, is not a gang. The people abuse that. The gang itself is bullshit. There's nothing positive to a gang at all, which is why you have to eradicate the gang. That whole mindset, get rid of it. Because if you don't, you'll always have this fight within the black community. Because if the laws were implemented correctly, you wouldn't need the gang at all. You wouldn't. Because if a man killed somebody, the laws say you should be going to jail. I don't care whether you're a lawyer, a Democratic front runner, or a gang member. If you kill, you should be put in prison. Plain and simple. But that's not what they do. They don't implement the laws as it's written. So it's not necessarily the laws that the governments have that's a gang-like mentality. It's the people who are in power right now that are usurping power over the laws. That's not the same with a gang. A gang is absolute trash. It doesn't have anything positive to offer the black community. Not one thing.
Yes, it do.
Name one thing positive a gang offers the community.
Okay, if the unwritten rules of gang life, not the BS that they do today. I mean the unwritten laws of what they had as a gang when they were policing our communities, because you would say that the Black Panthers was a gang. What was the
They are,
what,
definitely.
what was the Black Panthers doing? They was over there feeding the kids. They was over there protecting the community.
And
Someone
bombing places too.
someone infiltrated the Black Panthers, and then well, they didn't even go bad. It just fizzled out. You know, they still got a couple of things today, but whatever. But if we got the gangs back to those unwritten rules that they had back in the day when they was policing the community, instead of robbing and killing and stealing from the community, then yeah, that would be a reform, and that can start from the bottom up. That's one of the good things that a gang could have if they got back to the mindset that the gang originally had.
What do you
Not this
consider
new
policing? What do you consider policing?
making sure that kids get to school, making sure that kids are
Isn't that
fed.
the parents' job?
Yeah, it
So
is.
why do you need external people to do that?
No, I'm not saying that you actually absolutely need that, but we know that, like you said, sometimes stuff happens. Men aren't men, women aren't women, and it's a lagging kid somewhere out there. It goes back to our African roots of it takes a village to raise a child. That's the only thing that they were doing. I'm not saying that the gangs now, because I think that you think that I think that the gangs now needs to be saved. No, I'm saying that if we reform the gangs, get them back to their original mindset of what they were doing back in the day, which was actually good because police were coming in our neighborhoods, beating us. A lot of what you're saying, I agree with. I just don't agree with like eradicating the crime and everything that gangs do. Yes, but I'm saying that if they got back to what they was originally for
They
back in
won't
the
need
day,
to go back to that
yes,
if people in the books would actually implement the laws. You won't need to go back to that. There would be no need for it at all.
but we already know that you can't eradicate the government. It's too
Oh,
big. You're never gonna do it. You're
how
never
big are
gonna do
gangs?
it.
How big are the gangs?
How big are the gangs? Just
Yeah.
about as big as the government is. That's the
So how
biggest gang
you
out
so
there.
you can't eradicate the government, but you can't eradicate gangs.
Yeah, I do
You're gonna
think that
pick the most weak-minded Negroes to try and reform, but you tell me that can happen. The simpletons can get it, but not that's what you're trying to tell.
goes back to what I'm saying, that you're me and you are saying the same thing. You're just saying about government, and I'm saying it about the gang. You're saying, hey, we need to follow the law of America properly, and then that gets the gangs out of the government. Okay, why can't we do that same thing with the
Because you won't
gang?
need the gangs at all in the community, because the police would be actually doing their job.
That I
Not
just don't
what
see
not
that.
what you're used to, because the gangs got started back when there was an actual element of extroverted racism. You're not going to have that need if the government was doing their actual job and not infiltrating places they shouldn't be.
Yeah, I understand what you're
So
saying,
what? So
and
that you eradicate the gangs. That's what you're getting. You're getting rid of the gangs.
okay, and then after you eradicate the gangs, then how are you gonna eradicate the government?
You're not
Because
trying to eradicate the government.
you're trying to make them do the right thing
You're trying to make them do what they're supposed to do.
after all of these years, and you think
Yes.
after all of these years, then you think that you can change the
You
government
think
as
it's
an individual?
you think it's the government or people that are in power right now?
No, I
We're
agree with
talking about laws.
you.
We're talking about the laws.
I agree with
Name for me one law that is completely against black people in this country.
you. I really can't think of any.
Because there is none.
No. It's not any that's against black people. Like
Good.
you said, it's just people, they
Right.
abuse their power
Right.
to make it against black people.
Right. So
So yeah, I agree with you.
which means if you get rid of said people, you're in business and you won't need a gang to police anything in the community.
But that's never going to happen. You know why?
Why?
Because black people are only 13% of America. White people are the majority.
How
And
many
then
slaves were there?
how many slaves were there? I don't know
Yeah.
how many.
How many white people fought during the Civil War for the freedom of slaves?
Oh no. Oh no. You believe that?
Oh, you don't believe white people? So it was all black people that fought in the Civil War. That's amazing. Okay. All right.
No. You're saying that white people fought for black people, and
If you
that
don't believe
wasn't,
that, then that's okay. You don't have to believe that.
yeah, but that wasn't the case. It was fought
Oh,
for
okay.
money. It was
Oh,
fought for
okay.
money.
You know that for a fact, right?
Yes, because
Oh.
Abraham Lincoln himself said that if he could keep
No,
the
no, we're
union,
talking about the soldiers. We're not talking about Abraham Lincoln. You
yeah,
know
yeah,
for a fact that
I know
you know
what
for a
you're saying.
fact that the soldiers that died for money?
They died because they were fighting over the union, and that was for money.
No, no, no,
Because
no,
they
no, no, no.
no,
Listen.
listen, because you don't know
Oh,
history.
I don't know history.
Yeah, you
Oh, you
don't.
sure you want to you sure you want to do this?
Yeah, because you're saying
Okay,
that
let's do it. Let's do
you're
it.
you're saying that the
Let's do
Civil
it.
War. you're saying that the Civil War was fought to free Black people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was like a very little underline, but why was they trying to free Black people?
Yeah, you tell me why. Tell me why.
Because the South was making all of this money because of free labor. So the North couldn't compete with them with free labor. So so you wanted to know, let me tell
go
you.
ahead. No, go ahead.
So in order to compete with the South, because they were making all of this money because of free labor, they had to get rid of slavery. That's why they were fighting the war. It was because of money. Abraham Lincoln said it himself. If I could keep the Union together and I could keep the slaves, and I'm paraphrasing, I would. It wasn't fought because he woke up one morning and said, you know what? Slavery is wrong. That was not the case.
Let me ask you a question.
It wasn't fought over a moral stance. It was fought over a money stance.
Let me ask you. Let me put that theory, which is what it is, to test here.
Look it up. He said it himself.
Let me put you. If it'll stand up to scrutiny, then you're right. Right. If what I put to you now will help your case stand up, then you are right. That's all I know. Good. Okay. Do you think it would have been more lucrative for the North to make a deal with the South to keep slavery available all through America without the war and killing people?
They was not trying to keep slavery because the South were making money.
Listen to my question.
In the North.
Listen to my question. If the South was making money, would it make more sense for the North to get in on the same way of them making money by keeping slavery alive, except expanding it across the United States instead of having a war?
The South wasn't trying to make a deal with them.
So you don't think that slavery could have been expanded to the North? You think the South was just did the South own slavery?
Did they own? No, of course.
Oh, not. So then the North could have had slavery, right?
Yeah, if they
and they did, right? They did.
But the bulk of slavery.
Did the North have slavery?
The bulk, and that's why I'm trying to answer your question. The bulk of slavery was in the South, not in the North.
Did the North have slavery?
Yes, both of them had slavery, but you're talking about a bulk. The bulk of slavery was done in the South.
Listen carefully to what you said.
So they couldn't compete because, okay, if I got 3 machines over here in Texas and you got 20 machines and you don't want to make a deal with the machines, then yeah, I'm going to be mad. You're going to be making way more money than I'm going to be making. The war was not fought because the North was like, oh my God, slavery is bad. No, my guy. It was fought over money. The North could not compete with the South with slavery. They couldn't. That's the whole reason that it was fought. I think that you need to go read what Abraham Lincoln said.
Okay, listen. Okay, for
what happened.
For the purposes of this discussion, don't tell me what I should and shouldn't read. I've been on the earth.
You should, because
almost 15 years longer than you. Yeah. I've been on this earth 15 years longer than you. I was around when microfiche was around. I was around when microfiche was around, which was when the original documents were there. So I know exactly what I'm talking about. And you're refusing to answer my question. And I know why you're refusing to answer my question. Why would the North risk casualties of their own people when they could do the exact same thing that the South was doing if that was their aim?
They were not trying to make a deal. Which I answered that question. Hold up. You keep asking me the questions and then not wanting me to answer them.
Because you're not answering the question.
Yes, I am. You just asked me, why wouldn't they do the same thing? Yes, slavery was a thing in the North, but the bulk of slavery was done in the South. So they could not compete with the slavery that was done in the South as the one in the North, bro. That's why. They wasn't trying to
Why could they not? Why could they not compete? Tell me why.
I just answered that question.
No. You haven't told me why they couldn't compete. By telling me there's more somewhere else doesn't tell me why they couldn't compete. Why couldn't they compete?
Because the bulk of the slavery was done in the South. They was not trying to make they was not trying to make a deal. So if they wanted more
again, you're not answering why the South had more slaves.
Listen, if they wanted more slaves and they quote unquote tried to buy some slaves from the South, then they couldn't, because the South was not trying to make a deal with them, because they already knew, like, labor. No, I need these slaves for labor. So no,
where did the South get the slaves?
All around the world, all around. But you're talking
the North
about,
couldn't do that, right?
Huh?
The North couldn't do that, right?
Yeah, but when you have
Mm.
less money, then
You think
no,
the
you
North
can't
had
do
less
it.
money?
Yeah, that's the whole reason why they was
Wow.
begging the South to end slavery so that they can compete with
Wow.
them. That's why it wasn't fought over a
Wow.
moral standpoint. I don't understand why people think that
It's
white
amazing what they
people.
teach in school when you were going to school. That's amazing to me. That is literally amazing to me that you actually believe what you just said.
Yeah, I
That is the
do
most
because
amazing thing I've
because
ever heard in my life.
because history is repeating itself.
Wow.
They still think people still are thinking that white people care about them. White people do not care about black people, bro. They care about filling their pockets just like back in the day. Okay, well, we're gonna
I
move
don't want
on.
the last word. Go
So
ahead.
my next question is, we know that they're constantly pushing an agenda of being gay in the black community with things like fashion and TV and social media. But do you think that that's the biggest problem in our community? With you being a Christian and all, do you think that that's the biggest problem that we have?
You're a Christian, right? My cat. Hang on. You're a Christian, right?
According to you, no, because I believe that other people's religion is
So, do you have a
due to
problem with it?
respect. So
Do you
no.
have a problem with it?
No, because I don't see any harm, and everybody has their own relationship with God. No one can tell someone
Then it doesn't
what.
really matter what I think.
Hey, I mean, hey, it's just a question. Do you
No,
think
no,
that
it
it
doesn't
is?
really matter what I think. And you know what I think. You've heard what I say. You know what I
No, I'm
say.
saying no. I'm not saying that is it a problem. I'm saying is it because I hear you guys talk about a lot of things in the black community.
It is one of the biggest problems because it eradicates the family. Obviously, it's a big problem.
But is it the biggest? Like
It's
on a
the
scale?
second biggest because
Okay, the
it
second
helped
biggest. Okay,
eradicate the
no.
family.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere. The second biggest. Okay. So with it being like things like eradicating the black nuclear family and stuff, why do you think that other things such as like alcoholism, which is a big problem as well off in our community, drug addiction, a big problem in our community, financial literacy, a big part of our community problems, why don't you think that those are top on your list or at least second? What is the first to you?
The eradication of the family.
No, what's the first biggest problem that you feel is in the black community?
That is the biggest problem in the
You said
black
it was
community.
number two. What's
No,
number
it's
one?
homosexuality contributing to the eradication of the black family is number two. The eradication of the black family is number one.
What are things that eradicate the black family? Because you said eradicate the black family, and then you say homosexuality the second. So it's a plethora of
Hmm.
things that eradicate the black family. So what are some of those things other than homosexuality that eradicates the black family?
The introduction of the welfare program, the introduction of the what you call it, the um, affirmative action, the qualification that women and both women and men get if you're in a single household, part of the welfare system. Those are
Mhm.
the things that are destroying the black community. You might want to call it the school to prison pipeline. That whole idea of you go to jail just because you're black, even though that's not the case, because you haven't seen the opposite happen where you're just walking down the street today and get arrested and go to jail permanently. That doesn't happen. So if you want to talk about the prison system, that's another one, but that's only because of our own doing. Because you had the choice to not commit a crime. It's that simple.
Why do you think if you said the eradication of the black family is the biggest part and then homosexuality is the second,
Hmm.
how does that tie into each other?
What do you mean? How does it tie into each other? Can two
Yeah,
men make
because
a baby?
no.
Okay,
I
can two women make a baby?
no,
Then you're killing the family, ain't you? That's the eradication of the black family.
no,
I
stop
don't
it.
see how I'm not tying it together.
No, stop it. I agree with you. I agree.
Okay, so that's how
No,
they tie together.
okay, pump the brakes, Marlon. I definitely agree with you. Because I don't think that everyone, especially because I'm in the LGBT community and I see this thing being pushed in the black community, which everybody in the black community isn't gay, and I feel like they do play games with the black community, putting us as the face of homosexuality when that's just not the case. A small percentage of the black community is gay. It's not the bigger portion of it. Actually, the biggest portion and the history is white people. I mean, if you look back to Rome, look at their statues, look at the things like alpha and beta. That's pedophilia and homosexuality, and those things derived out of Greek. And I feel like they push those things into the black community because they know that the black community is the forefront of fashion, TV, and
Mm.
social media. Anything that we do, the world follows it.
Really?
Except for when it comes
So
to
you got power then, huh?
a certain extent, yeah. I agree
Wow.
with that. When it comes to things like fashion, Timberlands, that was even Carhartt. That's a company that's like construction, but rappers put it on and now it's fashion. That's
Hmm.
a certain set of power that we have, and now they push things like homosexuality and they put it in all these shows, even in cartoons and stuff, and that digs into the psyche of young boys. And they might turn out gay. I don't think that that's the main thing, but when you talk about the psyche and everything like that, then yeah, that definitely can be a reason why you see all of these kind of like lingering gay people around that I don't even think is gay to begin with. I talk to a lot of people, and when I really get down to like talking to them, it doesn't seem like they're gay. It really seems like they either like things that are deemed as being gay, like boys cooking. That's not a gay thing, but
How
because
is that deemed as gay?
it's not deemed as gay, but if a boy, I'm sorry, I got a bit cotton mouth. I'm kind of sick, but back in the day, boys cooking because we have this stereotype about men provide, protect, and conquer. But if a little boy doesn't want to play football and he wants to kind of do hair or cook or something like that, that was deemed as like the social construct of being gay. Oh, you like girly things. For a long time, boys couldn't wear pink because that was gay until Cameron did it, which is a rapper. And then every boy was wearing pink, So yeah, things like that. I do feel like they kind of slide into, the psyche of our black boys to try to, emasculate
And
them.
who do you think would have curtailed that?
Media, who owns media?
No, fathers.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah. If fathers were in the
Mm.
home, then yeah, for sure.
And
Yeah.
how do you make sure that you don't have a father in the house?
Take the resources out of a neighborhood.
No, no,
Sure.
you incentivize not having fathers.
Yeah, for sure. But how
Right.
do
And
you
how
get to the incentivization of it by draining the resources?
and what do you have to be to buy into that incentivization?
You have to be a single mother.
No, you got to be a weak ass person to do it.
Yeah, please don't say the B word.
You got to be a weak ass person to do it. Trust me, men do it too. It's not just a woman thing.
Okay, cool.
It's definitely a weak person that does it. Someone who has no spine whatsoever and wants the easy way out in life. Don't have me this thing. Oh, I had a hard. You stay if it's really that you are really trying to make it out. You stay on it for a few, catch your bearings, and get off of it. Not make it a brand new job. Okay, that's
Yeah.
what's happening today in the black. Like I said at the very beginning, we are our own worst enemy. We will
But you
take
said the
what
same thing
little is
about
there
white
and
people,
run with
though.
it until it runs into the ground. And I don't think we are ever going to get past that until we start calling us ourselves out for that stupidity.
Yeah. Yeah,
Plain
I
and simple.
definitely agree with you on that one. Let's slide and let me just get to the last question because I really want to get down to some solutions because that's what we really want to talk about at the end of the show. I hate to like go back and forth, and I love having back and forth with my guests because it opens up the echo chamber and it allows me to go in my bedroom at night and say, dang, Marlon did have a point about this. And it gets me to do research. I'm going to go back and go look into the research of all the stuff about the Civil War, even though I know you're wrong. No, I'm playing, bro. Don't even
I ain't saying
get
nothing.
crunchy about it. Yeah, don't get crunchy about it. I'm just kidding. But last but not least, you guys have a lot to say about the black community and the downfall of the black nuclear family. What are some what are like the top three things that you can say that the black community are the black community problems?
Outside of the ones I mentioned,
Yeah. And you can just name one and then just give a
I
solution, like
would name one, but they're all hinged on that first one.
the eradication of the black
They're
family.
all they're all hinged on it. If you look at what we call Black Wall Street, the predominant strong factor wasn't the female. It was the man being the breadwinner and being a head of his household. It wasn't women that were working. 98% of the people in the workforce that owned businesses and worked were the men, not the women. You get rid of that and you start creating a system, or in terms, an environment where men are no longer needed, or if they are, they use just like they did in slavery. They're bucks at that point. In other words, what we're doing, what black women are doing, what the system is created to do, was buck break black men. It's no different than what the homosexuality movement is doing. They're buck breaking black men today. It's a new age way of buck breaking. You get rid of the black men and you get what you need to get. The same way that they did back in slavery. It's no different right now. And the people in charge are the exact same people that did it back then. The people that are white racists and black racists. They consider the black leaders now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when you try to pull a man away from, you can have access to the woman and you have access to the child. Now you have a child that will do the bidding later on because there's no man around to defend them or to groom him into manhood. It is no different than what's happening in the black community now. They want to talk about that. They want to blame somebody else. They want to blame. When in reality, all they managed to do was get the weak-minded ones to give up that power. That's the sad thing about what's going on now. Black America has become a bunch of pussified human beings, and they will not fight for what they say they want. We will protest all day and scream at the top of our lungs and get all emotional, but when it's actually time to do something, we're not doing anything.
What would
Because
you say
to do something would mean to actually turn the magnifying glass inward and realize that the more we have the absent father, and it's not because of government, it's a choice. If women would wake up, the weak-minded ones, and realize you do need the man in the home, we stop having children out of wedlock. All of these little things that we consider, oh, that's just you being Christian. Then stay in your little squalor, stay in your stupid mindset, stay broke, stay underprivileged, stay without any future in your life. Stay there, but don't blame white people for shit that you're doing to yourself. Ain't no white man giving you a gun to go shoot your brother. That's all on you. Ain't no white man telling you to give rid of the father so you can get more money. You decided to do that. Even if I offered you drugs, you have the choice to not take it. I don't think anybody but the black community is to blame for anything happening in the black community. At like zero body else. Just because I give you an option does not mean you need to take it at all. You could take. I'll tell you something about me. I grew up broke, poor, poverty poor. What we did not do was use that poverty as a measuring stick for staying in poverty. Well, I'm not as poor as yesterday, but I'm still poor, and I'm okay with that. This is as far as I can go. The goal was to make poverty make you realize that this is not what I want. I'm not going to find a way to still dwell in the middle of poverty or make poverty more palpable for me. That's what the black community has allowed. Now coming from the streets and being in the streets, that's a badge of honor. Being in the hood, that's a badge of honor. Not getting out. If you get out, you're a sellout, you're a coon and all that nonsense. Or you're whitewashed, or you're trying to be like the white person. If you're cultured, you're not being black enough. That's what we do to each other. And we relish it. We live in it. It's in our rap songs. It's in every damn thing we do. But then we turn around and say, it's this man's fault and this guy. No, it's your own damn fault. Because you're dumb enough to buy into the stupidness that they're handing you. If you ain't going to be smart enough to do the normal, simple things and not care about the backlash of someone calling you a name, then you live where you live and have fun with it. Don't complain. You put yourself there. Which is why I'm fine with not being called part of the black community. And I'm not called part of the black community because they say I speak white or I talk white. You don't want to be part of it. I don't want to be part of that community because that community is absolutely moronic. You worship women that twerk and shake their ass all day long. You worship these fools who sell drugs, sing about killing each other. You worship them. You worship that nonsense. You want to have a badge of honor for shooting somebody next door. You don't want a rat. That's your badge of honor. Then stay. Stay with that stupid mindset and don't get out. But if you don't want the solution, don't ask for it. The solution is right in front of us. We have to stop being our own worst enemy. We have to stop with this nonsense of trying to be hard all the time. Being hard isn't being a man. Being a man is taking up the responsibility of your family and taking care of yours and doing what needs to be done legally for your family. That's not what the black community wants to do anymore. At least the ones that are pushing it, they don't want that, because
Yeah,
doing that means work.
yeah, because I was gonna say I don't think that that's the majority of the black community. I think that that is what media pushes. Like they take the worst portion of the black community and they display it for the world. When you have people like me go to work, I'm legal, I got in some trouble, I pulled myself out of it. You just had got through talking about a story that, hey, I was very poor when I got here, I pulled myself up out of it, and now I'm doing fine today. You have people like Corey, Fair. You have, a bunch of millionaires in the black community, not rappers, but we're talking about people that are in tech, people that are in Wall Street, but they don't display those people. They display the worst part. So I don't think that that is the majority of our community. Like I said, I think that that is just what they push on media, and they get the mindset of our little kids, and they get them to think that, oh yeah, this is who you are, this is your culture as a black American. But I think that we're cleaning that up in the black community. I don't
How?
I hear people now referencing Dr. Claude Anderson, Dr. Boyce Watkins, people of that statue. I don't hear the average 32 to 40-year-old or even younger. I hear 27-year-olds, 26-year-olds talking about Dr. Claude Anderson. And they don't put those conversations on the forefront. They push ignorant conversations that the black community have at the forefront and make the world think that that's our culture when it's not. We have
So, what
smart,
is the black culture? Answer me that. What's black culture?
black culture, the one that's not seen by the media,
No,
are
no,
in,
no. There either is a black culture or there's not. What
there is.
is the black culture?
The black culture is smart, intelligent people that work really hard, have grit, have grind, and they do what they have to do. That's the black culture. We've
That's
always done it, even from slavery. We've done that.
that's
Even when we talk about pull yourself up by your bootstrap, black people have done it several times. It's been over 120 revolts that black people have had. Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Rosewood. We've pulled ourselves up by our bootstraps several times, and those are just three instances. You have over 55 instances where we had whole communities and whole shopping centers that we had at one point in time. And I feel like we're cleaning that up today. Even in Atlanta, they have a whole shopping center, a whole mall that they got going on. Brother Ben X is buying land and building something and building communities and building farmland so that we can feed ourselves. So when we take ourselves away from this government, well, we still need the government in some sense as far as laws and stuff, but we're making it to the point where we're not begging from the government anymore. But they don't put those people on the forefront. They put people, our rappers and our singers and our actors as the forefront, and not the people that's actually doing the work. So yeah, that's black culture, not
that.
goofy shit that they put at the forefront like rappers and singers and actors. No,
So you're talking about a black culture. Is that what you see as black culture, or that is what black culture is?
that is what black culture is.
And how exactly is, okay? Let me see the best way to phrase this question. Then explain to me, why is it that the predominantly black areas in America don't portray that?
I feel like you said, those are just the weak-minded people. And like I said, I feel like we're getting out of that mindset of, oh, poverty is cool, being in the hood is cool, trapping is cool. We're getting away from that. It didn't it took years for us to get into this situation, and it's going to take a little while for us to get out. But just to zone in on the impoverished neighborhoods and then say that's black culture would be a lie, because you have people like yourself, me, Corey, and other prominent black people off in our community of great statue that are doing things, and not only doing things, but doing things, and they're young. Brother Ben X ain't nothing but 25 years old, and he's already bought over 1,000 acres of land. I don't see any 40-year-olds doing that have the knowledge like you have. I'm not saying you're 40. I'm just saying
I'm
like,
older than that. Yeah.
well, you look great. But I don't see any 40 and up people talking about buying hundreds and thousands of acres of land and putting farming on it so that when we get
Because
away
that's a
from it.
white thing. That's what we've been told. It's a white thing.
Exactly. But this brother Ben X, he comes from Oak Cliff, Texas. That's the hood. I live in Garland right now, but I'm 20 minutes away from Oak Cliff. That's the hood. And
Mm-hmm.
that's someone that's from the hood saying that. And guess what? The black community isn't saying that, oh, that's white. They're saying that's empowerment because
I
we're changing the mindset right now. The black grassroots is changing the mindset of these younger kids to think for themselves, not depend on the government, and do for self. He's in the Nation of Islam. I love the Nation of Islam. I don't agree with a lot of their standpoints, but as far as that line, do for self, that's the way to go because then you don't get in this weird space like you were saying with the Democrats of begging for reparations or begging for them to change a law or begging for them to do anything. You get up, you do it yourself, and then you take what you do have for the system. Like you said, there's no laws that's really against black people. It's just people that abuse them. So what do black people do? We've been finessing the system for forever. So
how
finesse the system to better yourself.
how do you finesse the system?
How do we finesse the system? Finessing the system as far as like, okay, I won't say any names or anything like that, but I know a lot of people that gets a crazy check. They act like they're crazy to get this check. Well, that's finessing the system.
That's
Um,
lying.
well, yeah,
Say what it is. It's
yeah,
lying.
basically, it's line, whatever you want to call it. But you can take these laws that they already have in place that may not specifically benefit the whole, but you can get around some of the things that they have in the law system, take it for you, and better yourself. And that's what Brother Ben X is doing.
And
And he
and
ain't
that that
25
should
years
that's a
old.
good example. That's a good
No,
example to lead by.
no, I'm saying that not the whole finesse part. I'm saying that like, okay, now that we're getting away from the mindset of like, okay, well, the government can't do this for me, can't do that for me, and they're not going to do anything for you. You have to take things into your own hand and take what you have and make do with it. Just like we did when we was in slavery. They was giving us pork and chitlins and all that stuff. And now oxtails and chitlins are the highest cut of meat that you can get off in it. Why? Because black people made it that way. We took nothing and we made it into something. So we should do the same thing with the system. Those laws ain't specifically made for white people, but they ain't specifically made for black people either. And we know that most of those laws really benefit white people as a whole rather than black people. So, okay, since we know that the laws ain't meant for either black or white people, it's just the law. We're taking those laws, we're doing what we have to do, and we're empowering ourselves. And this is the black grassroots that's doing it. These are younger cats doing it. That's why I said the mindset of the black community is changing. It's not that old shoot 'em up gang stuff anymore. It's hey, do for self, get this money, get it how you live. And we're not talking about no gang stuff no more. We're talking about cryptocurrency. We're talking about tech. We're talking about land. We're talking about gold. That's what these young cats are talking about now. They're not talking about owning a trap or being a rapper. I mean, you got your little rappers or whatever, but most people that are 27 and under is talking about tech and crypto. I, I'm definitely with you. Most of what you said, that Bible stuff is, but most of what you said, I definitely agree with you. And it was definitely a privilege to have you on an hour with Crowder. I enjoyed your conversation. I enjoyed your insight on the black community. And I look to have you back, to talk about other things, because it seems like you're not one of those people that are like, oh well, the black community needs to pull out stuff, And I did want to talk a little bit about why you feel that the black community kicked you out of the black community, which is kind of weird. I don't think anyone kicks
They
someone
can't kick me
out.
out of my color. I am what I am. I'm black, regardless
Yeah,
of what they think. It
yeah, I
doesn't
don't
matter.
think that they kicked you out. I think that they just don't agree with some of the things that you say, and then because you don't have this marginalized thought process of what black is, then they kick you out or whatever they do. But yeah, I think that you're a very strong man, a man's man, and I enjoyed your insight for sure. Like, yeah, we have like our different thoughts, but I definitely can see myself drinking a beer with you and, pondering on a bunch of other things that the black community should be doing and how we can empower and better ourselves for sure.
Yeah, we have a lot of work to do. And like I said, it's more than just blaming white people for things like the pundits like to say. And this race war is going to keep us divided and keep us behind the eight ball because it's keeping us distracted. And if we keep distracted, the easiest way to beat somebody is not to go head on head, and especially if you know that person is stronger than you, it's to distract them. If I can get you thinking something that I'm not going to do, and then I do it, I win. Um, that whole I'll jab, jab, and then I sneak a uppercut, and you don't see it coming because I hide it with something else. That's exactly what we're doing to each other. Um, we allow ourselves to get bogged down with small, stupid stuff, things that have really no bearing on what's actually damaging us. And in the meantime, we're going to town on each other, and that's not going to get us anywhere at
Yeah,
all.
for sure. Like I said, super privileged to have you on my show. You have so much intel that I definitely can learn from. I'm only 32, so I do look towards older people to, give me insight on what I should be doing as someone that's of my age in the community, the black community. So for sure, please give out your social media outlets so that anyone from my audience can follow you. Please go follow this guy. He has a bunch of insight and his exposed too strong exposed is really good. He does a podcast with this guy named Corey Fair, and they go hard on the expose of exposing people in our community and in other communities. So please go check out everything that that guy's doing.
My only platforms I have right now, because I keep getting heavily censored, is on YouTube. Tell it like it is. Um, I had to start. This is my third attempt at YouTube. The first two got pretty good, and then they killed it because I went after child trafficking. So, note
Yeah.
to myself not to do child trafficking on YouTube because they like it. Um,
Mhm.
so tell it like it is, and you should be able to find it. If you have a problem finding the actual channel, just type in "tell it like it is." Good night, Moon, and you'll find me.
Yeah, his social media and his any platform that he on will be in the description of this podcast. Please click on it, go support him, go learn something from him because he definitely has a lot of insight. And we are out. Thank you, Marlon.
Thank you.